Walk with me. Vibe. Or energy. Frequency. I don't care what word you want to use to define it. That stuff's real, y'all. Like, I am a believer. I know it's not something you can see. It's not something you can touch. But it's definitely something you can feel. And whatever term you use to describe that feeling, that electricity, that chemistry inside you and when around others, I want to chat about that today. Like, what is it really? How do you set it? Like, what is low level frequency? What is high level frequency? Try to put some language around it and some intention once we're aware on how to set it. And then I just learned what the highest level frequency we can all be at. And I'd never heard it put this way. It was a big shift for me, and I want to share with you all today, because it is a thing. Before we get into it, I'm going to ask, hey, who's by my side today? Who's to my left? Who's to my right? Who's walking with us? Drop a comment below. Say hello, where you're from, what countries are we tuning in? If you're welcome back. I love our time together. I love the energy you contribute and the perspective you share. If you're new to the crew, maybe someone tagged you in the comments. Maybe this got shared to a feed. Maybe you just, stumbled your way here for a reason right here in this moment and you're watching this. I love when the world does that for us. The only thing I ask is don't be shy. Say hello below. Let us know where you're from. Introduce yourself and contribute perspective. We get together most weeks around the same time live right here and share inspired thoughts, collaborate. And you can catch all the episodes on the podcast. Just search Alive by Design or my name, Blake Malin, all the podcast places. Subscribe if you haven't. But today is going to be a good one, a practical one, because it's something I know we all live every day, we all feel every day, but we don't talk about it very much. And I'm not going to get too woo-woo or, mystic. I'm going to keep it practical. But it's an important topic. What word do you use to describe that energy? You know what I'm talking about. It's something that when you are going through different seasons of life, the roller coaster of emotions that is being human, you can feel like when you're just at a high vibe, right? Your confidence is up, your charisma is up, your energy is up. You can feel it. And you can feel when you're at a low vibe. What do you call it? We can feel it within ourselves. And the more language I think we learn to put around it, the better and more aware we can be on our own kind of exploration, and more so how to direct it, right? How to set it. But we can feel it in others for sure. In a split second, we're built into our DNA, our own frequency meters. You walk into a room of people, you instantly know everybody's frequency level, where they're at. Doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter if they put on a good face or a smile or say the right words. You feel different levels. And we use different terms to describe, right, who we're attracted to. Their confidence, they're charismatic, they're just a joy, a delight. But regardless of the language, it's there. What do you call it? For the sake of today's dialogue, and I call it all the things in different times, but for today I'm going to use the term frequency, because I'm going to talk literally about frequency, as in how certain states literally have a frequency as can be measured when it comes to an actual output, which is just kind of crazy if you think about it, but not surprising, considering at the end of the day our whole body operates off energy, electrical pulses, positive and negative, like we are just really like one giant battery or magnet if used correctly. But I'm gonna use the term frequency. And first thing I want to share with everybody is we talk about like energy, how to have a high frequency, like how to have a great vibe. But nobody talks about, well, how do you create that? How do you get into a state where you are radiating at the level you want to? And I heard it put the other day, just a little play on words, a little rhyme that will make it really easy to remember and keep this top of mind. And that is, your frequency is based on what you frequently see. What you frequently see determines your frequency. So you can remember that whenever you're thinking about how do I raise my frequency? Well, my frequency is based on what I frequently see. And what I mean by what you frequently see is, I mean about what's going on around you, and more intentionally, what you allow to be going on around you. Take a seat here. Your environment. We've all had plenty of chats. We've had chats together, and I'm sure if you're watching this right now, this isn't a new concept that you become like those you surround yourself with, quite literally. You know, you want to be a happier person, surround yourself by 5 other happy people. If you want to be a more disciplined person, surround yourself by 5 other very disciplined people. If you want to be a wealthy person, surround yourself by 5 other wealthier people. You surround yourself by proximity of people, you will become, right, in a line with those people. It's just the truth, right? It's the truth. And so often we say that, we hear that, but we don't act upon that every single day of like literally our environment determines our frequency. If you frequently see, in other words, you're frequently around people that are constantly negative, constantly always going to what won't work, what isn't possible, constantly acting and being consumed by fear about what could happen and the million things that might go wrong, fear-based mentality, or constantly surrounded by people that are gossiping, judging, blaming, shaming, justifying, right? Constantly playing victim. All these low vibe conversations and perspective, if you're around that, if that's what you frequently see, that will determine your frequency. And it's so easy today to be surrounded by people that get sucked into a negativity or a fear-based mindset or a scarcity-based mindset or a victim-based mindset. Like, I'm willing to bet right now, as I even say these things, there are people flashing right in front of your mind of, oh, I just had those conversations. I mean, I can just think of my last weekend, my last 48 hours, right, this past weekend, and think about different conversations I was in that lowered a frequency because of that state. But the opposite's also true, right? What we frequently see determines our frequency. So if we're also around individuals that are the opposite of that, if we're around individuals that constantly highlight the positive, around individuals that, right, extract the blessing, right, are grateful for the season that they're in, regardless of what part of the roller coaster of life they're on right now, the high or the low, right? People that see possibility, right? People that constantly engage in real relationship. Like all the things that are higher frequency, well, what you frequently see will determine your frequency. That will affect the level at which you are living at. So when we talk about frequency, the first thing we have to realize is our frequency is determined what we frequently see. In other words, what we allow around us ultimately has influence on what we allow within us. Now, when they actually measure frequency, which they do. They can hook you up and measure electrical impulses, like literally frequency, through people going through different states of emotion. And there are very literally low level emotions, and there are high level emotions when it comes to a frequency that we emit or we radiate or we put out into the world when we're going through. And it's what you would expect, right? So if I were to ask you, like, what are low level emotions, and you can look at it just from your own lens when you're going through those seasons and you're having those feelings, what just drains you? And vice versa, when you're going through different seasons and different feelings, what elevates you? Or maybe you're watching family or loved ones or friends go through the same, and what drains them drains you. What elevates them? What elevates you? You know, some of the lowest level frequency emotions would be things like shame, one of the lowest, right? Feeling shame, guilt, right? Jealousy, envy, low level emotions, anger, grief, right? When we're going through certain things, grief, fear, pride. These are all things that you would find at the bottom third of the frequency list. You got to ask yourself, how often are you living in those emotions? Not what you're putting out to the world, not what you're putting out on Instagram, not what you're sharing with others, right, at the party, what you're actually feeling every single day. Because if you're living in those emotions, you are living in a low frequency. You can't fake frequency. You can't. But then on the opposite, there's higher level emotions that emit a higher level frequency. When you get to the top of what they measure in terms of frequency would be, you know, things like love, things like peace, things like joy, things like enlightenment. Isn't it interesting that if you just say those words or even think those words, you can feel the vibe? You can feel the difference between saying the word fear and saying the word joy, saying the word grief and saying the word peace. Just the words emit a frequency, let alone the actual feeling. So the reason I start with what you frequently see determines your frequency is, for most people, what they frequently see actually controls their frequency. Now, I'll disclaim that it shouldn't, it doesn't have to, but for most people, the truth is it does. Because for most people, we have not learned to influence, right, our environment, to affect our environment. Most people still live every day in a state where we are infected by it. So one of the first things you can learn how to do is just shift your environment. If you shift your environment, you shift what you frequently see, you can shift your frequency, because most people, right, are controlled by what is around them. So yes, we can learn to be more mindful and have a filter and be less influenced. But at the end of the day, even if we transcend being controlled, we're always still influenced by it. Nobody outgrows being influenced by what's around them. So I think the step one is changing what you frequently see, changing the people, changing the environment, changing the input, changing the media, changing your feeds, right? Changing your scroll, changing the things we allow. You can change that physically, and changing what you frequently see changes your frequency. And then we can be more mindful of allowing ourselves to slip into, be influenced by our environment and slipping into lower level emotions and trying to keep ourselves into higher level emotions. But here's the most interesting thing. I heard this for the first time the other day. Never heard it put this way. Do you know what the highest level frequency you can emit is? Like, what's the highest level frequency you can operate at? You know, the highest level frequency is when you are aligned with what you truly believe. What you wholeheartedly, genuinely believe. Like deep down in here and in here. Like deep down, not what you say, not what you post, not what you write, not even what you think for a moment, but what you deep down truly believe actually creates your highest frequency. And you know this because you meet people that really, truly believe 100%, like zero doubt, full faith in what they're doing. And you can see they move. They move mountains. They create movements. Why? Because it's the highest level frequency someone can operate at. What you believe internally, you will manifest externally. Whatever you believe, you attract. What you actually believe long enough will become your reality. Because what you really believe is the highest level frequency you can operate at. And it's literally signaling to the world, right? The future you want to create, who you want to attract, where you want to go. You guys, this is huge stuff. I know it's simple, but gut check. What do you really believe in right now? Do you really believe in the company you're a part of or company you're creating? Do you really believe in the community you're aligned with, the community you're a part of? Do you really believe in the product or the service or the solution you're bringing to the world? Do you really believe in how you're showing up every single day? Do you really believe that stuff? Or are you just telling yourself you believe it? Putting on the face, wearing the mask, flipping the filter, creating the post. Because what you really believe, you guys, is your highest level frequency. That's why when you meet someone, it's like, man, that person's on fire. Well, why? Because they really believe in what they're doing, what they're saying, where they're going. They are aligned. Alignment, right? When what they think and how they feel and what they do is all congruent, right? Is all aligned in the same direction. But it starts with what we believe. So one of the simplest things we can all do if we want to level up our frequency, vibe at a higher level, move from the bottom third to the top third. One of the simplest things we can do is renew our belief in something. Like renew your belief in something that matters. And it can be anything. It can be professional, it can be business, it can be career, it could be financial, but it could be personal, it could be relational, it could be social, it could be spiritual. You got to find a category where you want to get fired up. You want to radiate at a higher frequency and just go renew a belief. Check yourself on a belief. Renew a belief to yourself wholeheartedly, congruently, and watch how you elevate your frequency and watch how elevating your frequency will determine your reality. Because when you elevate your frequency, you're also going to shift your environment. You're going to shift what you frequently see. When you elevate your frequency and shift what you frequently see, and you believe in what you're doing, you're going to raise to those emotions that we're talking about. You are literally going to create a frequency where you emit a different level of energy, of chemistry out to the world. It's something that can be felt. You'll feel it every single day. You'll show up differently every single day, and so will the people around you. So I don't care what you call it. Vibe, energy, aura, charisma, frequency. We all have it. It's a thing. You can feel it. I feel it right now. I'll give you one more view. I can feel it right here around. You know the energy after rain, right? You see a little bit of clouds in the air. I saw a meme the other day that I remember when it used to be sunny in LA and then it rained and then it just rained and then it just rained. That's been our winter so far. I know I can't complain for some of you guys around the world, but it's been wet here in Southern California. But the energy after a rain, you can feel. It's a thing. You can feel it in yourself and you can feel it in the people around you. And I hope this conversation brought it top of mind and will challenge you to set it intentionally at the frequency you want. Your frequency is based on what you frequently see. Change what you frequently see, you'll change your frequency because we're influenced by it. There's different levels of emotion. Let's stay in that upper third. And the way to move into that upper third is to start with something you believe in. Renew your belief in something. Move in that direction and watch things start to unfold. Hey, if there's someone that came to your mind or your heart in today's conversation, guys, tag them in the comments. You know, one of the greatest gifts you can give is a mental shift. One little shift can change so much for people. And you never know what's going to resonate, what's going to land with people you care about. Tag them in the comments, share to your feed, check out the podcast, subscribe, leave some rates and reviews. I appreciate you. But more importantly than all of that, here's to raising your frequency this week and living at a higher level and inspiring other people to do the same. Until the next time.